What do you think that most Las Vegans don't know about Nellis Air Force Base?
Well, I imagine there's a fair amount they do know, but I would highlight the fact that, let's start with air power. This is a concentration, we host here a concentration of some of the finest aviators in the world who go and rehearse at the most sophisticated training range. They rehearse for combat at the most sophisticated training range in the world, just to the north of here, the Nevada Test and Training Range. So I'd start there, and then they may not know that we have a full military hospital, as an example, which is one of 5 trauma centers in the Las Vegas Valley. We do have the ability to care for civilian patients as well. And we have tremendous partnerships in the medical community here and have a number of people who work to stay current on their trauma skills down at the University Medical Center as one example.
36 squadrons, 12 installations, 182 aircraft. How do you keep track of it all? That's a big job as a colonel, right?
It would be a big job if it was just me doing it, but fortunately we have a team of teams here that helps take care of things. And it really is about teamwork and execution. So we split responsibilities. Here we have the 2 principal organizations are my organization, the 99th Air Base Wing, so we handle really a lot of the supporting capabilities and that it takes to generate aircraft. And then the 57th Wing, our partners and teammates, they handle the flying and the maintenance. So there's many other mission partners, as we call them here, who do very, very important things, but really is a team of teams.
And this really is a place to learn. This is where some of the brightest minds in the Air Force are coming to learn. Absolutely,
and really the tempo and the pace of the calendar and the operations here really lends itself to innovation. So, you know, humble beginnings as a fairly simple airstrip back in the World War II era to really what's a centerpiece for combat aviation. And so to do that, as I mentioned, it takes a huge team, and naturally we get good at solving problems, and we're very focused and deliberate about getting better each day.
And one of the things I noticed, you said innovate. One of the points that struck me was that the development of innovative leaders. So this is more than just doing. People are learning to think critically and prepare for any number of scenarios.
Absolutely. So we have here we pride ourselves on having a fights on mentality. And so what that means is being ready to fight tonight. This place is about winning in combat. If you want to boil it down, that's what this place is about. But we don't limit that just to people who are in a cockpit. You know, that goes across a variety of systems and certainly takes a lot of people. But the reputation of the place certainly helps us. It's an iconic place to be, and it's a privilege to be here. So we are all focused on excellence as a habit, and it's really a privilege to be part of a place where winning is the standard.
What kind of a neighbor do you think I mean, obviously, the base contributes a huge, you can contribute to the economy, but what kind of a neighbor do you strive to be as an organization, as people within an organization?
We certainly strive to be a pillar of the community. And so we are, in a sense, a city within a city. And we like to say that this place is every bit as electric as the city itself. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. But we pride ourselves on being good members of the community, not only in how we conduct the mission here, but also we're part of the community in the sense that you have many of our folks who live in the community. You have kids who are going to school in the school system here. You've got military spouses who are employed by the community. So the connections are deep and varied, and we're deliberate about cultivating relationships with the community. So we have a variety of really positive and mutually supportive relationships with our elected leaders, the business community, professional sports teams, utility companies, and we pride ourselves on those relationships.
And it's huge. I mean, there's close to 14,000 people that work here, both military and civilian. I don't know, there was coincidence or fortune that that location of that original airstrip turned out to be so, it's fortuitous because the location is perfect for training.
No question about it. In many ways, you might say that we grew up together. Nellis Air Force Base and the community. And as you said, it was simple beginnings, but very rapid growth over a period of years. And I think that growth has been really good for both parts, but we have to manage it appropriately as well. So one of the things that we care about is compatible land use strategies as we grow together. But no question that there's been a great relationship throughout that time between the military community and the local community.
When I was here previously and I met with your historian, I was shown a map of the flight, the flight path basically. And if you'll notice, there's that one gap that's right to the north of the Las Vegas. I don't know if when they made that dirt landing strip, if they foresaw the opportunity that laid in the sky.
Weather and airspace, those two things really contribute to an ideal training environment here. And so if you were to take and overlay commercial aviation traffic over the United States for a period of time, you would see nearly the entire country covered up in those flight paths, except for southern Nevada. And that little piece of land is the Nevada Test and Training Range, and one of the reasons why this place is so special.
What goes on if you don't know about, say I don't know anything about the training range, what kind of activities going on?
We think of it in 3 T's: test, tactics, and training. So we have aviators who are going up and testing new systems, developing the tactics that will win in combat, and then training to those tactics.
And these just aren't locally based pilots?
No, these are mostly, a predominance of the pilots are those who are coming in for the various training exercises that we host here, like Red Flag. But we do have pilots who are in the test community and others who operate regularly on the range as well. And the weapons school.
What happens at the weapons school?
Well, I will defer to my teammate on the weapons school because he's more of an expert on that.
Nellis is called the crown jewel of the Air Force. It takes a lot of polishing to become a crown jewel, no?
Well, that's certainly a statement that's been used by a number of very senior leaders in our Air Force, and we try to live up to that each day. But I think it goes back to the iconic nature of the place and what it represents to the nation. So we are talking about a critical Department of War, national defense asset here that's in play. And so that's the evolution of it. There's another phrase that says what happens here can only happen here, and that's true as well.
How so?
There's no other place that has the exquisite airspace that is represented by the Nevada Test and Training Range, and there's no concentration of elite combat aviators like here.
I have to ask, what makes airspace exquisite?
Well, like I said, there's a lot of commercial aviation and air traffic that would love to be on a more direct route to where they're going. But that's protected airspace, and it's protected for a reason, and that says a lot right there.
And when you talk about Nellis, a lot of times it's described in superlatives. So, I mean, what's the sense of pride? There's got to be a huge sense of pride that's invested in you and every single person that works or is enlisted at this facility.
I say not all that sarcastically. You're either here or you want to be here. And I think that's because of what this represents, the standard that exists here. It's the home of the fighter pilot indoors. It's on the monument sign as you enter the base. And that mentality, the fights on mentality, permeates everything we do.
What would you like to say to the people of Las Vegas? What do you want the people of Las Vegas to know about Nellis and the people that make up Nellis?
Well, I'd hope that when a kid looks up and sees the jets flying around and hears the noise, that a percentage of them are inspired to serve in the Air Force. And then I would say to those who may not be fascinated with flying, is there's a lot of things that we do in the Air Force that support that flying operation, and other things that are really important capabilities. So we host Aviation Nation here every other year, so it's every 2 years. And that's where we literally bring the community in and show off why this place matters with a variety of different things. So that's a great opportunity to integrate. But I hope that we're inspiring a percentage of the local community to serve.
What do you think the average Las Vegan doesn't know about Nellis Air Force Base?
No, that's a great question, Lisa. You know, I think in large part, the institutions like the United States Air Force Weapons School and exercises like Red Flag and Bamboo Eagle define kind of what Nellis is. We train the warfighter to first and foremost deter, and then go out there and fight and win if the flag goes up. In case in point is the recent operations like Operation Midnight Hammer and Operation Absolute Resolve. In both of those missions, graduates from the United States Air Force Weapons School both planned and executed, i.e. they flew in those missions, and obviously you saw the strategic outcomes that those delivered. So truly a phenomenal class of individuals that come through this place.
So let's explain a little bit about the weapons school. This is like for people who don't know much about military. It would be kind of like similar to Top Gun, but like Top Gun on steroids, right?
I think that's a great description and absolutely appropriate. So the weapons school pretty much has every combat capability that the United States Air Force and Space Force bring to bear. It's about 21 squadrons, I think, in total. 9 GSUs, or geographically separated units, meaning they're not actually located here at Nellis Air Force Base. They operate 2 classes a year, an Alpha and a Bravo class, and each class sends through about 150 students. And I say students, but these students are like the lead instructors in their individual units. So they are the best instructors that their units have. They send them to us, and when we get them, we make them better.
They're not, but we're not talking about just, these aren't just the best pilots. These are the best pilot instructors. So you're training.
We're training the instructors of the instructors. They go back to their units, and they're the elite instructors in the entire combat Air Force. And ultimately, we do that through a series of phased training. So an Alpha class typically runs January to June, a Bravo July to December. And they do a number of sorties, academics, they write papers. It's extremely difficult what they go through during their 6 months time here. And by the end of it, they execute what's called WISNT, or Weapons School Integration. And that's where the instructors give these students the most difficult tactical operation level problems they can possibly see. And they say, hey, go solve this. Those students then have to take that problem, digest it, come up with a game plan, integrate all these capabilities, brief that game plan, go out there and fly and execute it, and then most importantly, come back and debrief that, how they did, to identify any root causes behind any errors and any lessons learned going forward.
And it's not just flying. I don't think people, I'm not sure, it's not just flying the airplane, the aircraft, because even flying the aircraft, you have to be like an engineer to actually, because it's such a complicated piece of machinery. So, I mean, that's what I'm just like, it's the tech, the studying, the book. It's more than just flying around in a plane.
It is. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's discipline, it's teamwork, it's a culture of accountability. I think my colleague, brought it up earlier. When you drive through the gate at Nellis Air Force Base, the front sign says, "Home of the fighter pilot." And a famous, now past general officer named Robin Olds said, "Fighter pilot's an attitude." And what that attitude is it's a culture, right? It's a culture of doing the best you can at all times. And that culture defines who you are, what you do, and how you do it. And that's ultimately what the Air Force Weapons School actually is.
You've been through it. You've been through the weapons school.
Yes, I have.
How hard is it?
It's extremely difficult. I barely got through, kicking and screaming like my instructors finally got me there. But yeah, it's not easy. And it's any one task that they give you on a day-to-day basis is probably doable. It's when you combine all of those elements, all in a compressed time frame, that makes it extremely challenging. But that's why the product of that institution is so valuable and is so good for the Air Force and for the defense of the nation.
When I was meeting with your historian a few weeks ago, he pointed out that someone who had actually been through Red School, or through
Red Flag.
weapons, Red
Oh,
Flag,
yeah.
and then flew in some of the opening
Yeah.
sorties of the Gulf War.
Yeah.
Actually found weapons school to be harder.
I can believe that. So Red Flag itself, it was incepted about 50 years ago, 1975. Moody Sears started it. The intent was the first 10 sorties. If I can replicate what a wingman might see in his first 10 sorties of combat, he'll likely survive the duration of his combat. So a lot of folks, that mentality still kind of pervades today. Is show these guys, young aviators who come in from around the combat air forces, what true combat looks like to send them out and be prepared for war. Same thing on the weapons school side. On the weapons school side, the individuals that come in are usually a higher or more proficient or more advanced pilot than a lot of the younger aviators that come in to get exposure to Red Flag. But both cases, both the Air Force Weapons School as well as the Red Flag exercise itself, both prepare warfighters to go out again and first and foremost deter and then fight and win if required.
I found the evolution of the weapons school kind of interesting, how it even came about.
So the weapons school started as the Air Crew Tactical Gunnery School, which predated the Vietnam
that's
War.
right.
Both are great examples of like the innovations and like the kind of leaps forward that we've made in terms of capabilities in human beings. With the weapons school, you've seen the growth tremendously. Initially, it was just a tactical fighter weapons school, and now it's pretty much every platform. Again, the Air Force and the Space Force bring to bear. Same thing on the Red Flag front. The mission complexity and scale has just grown tremendously from what it originally was, and both require critical and, more importantly, creative thinkers to solve the tactical problems that we throw at those people that participate.
The Air Force is really encouraging out-of-the-box thinking.
100%.
The location.
Yeah.
You could not probably ask for a better location.
Yeah, Vegas is pretty sweet. It's awesome. So the weather here is phenomenal. Obviously, it's pretty much 24/7, 365 with sunshine. That's very favorable for a flying aircraft. You juxtapose that with the national treasure that we have just in the north here with the NTTR, or Nevada Test and Training Range. And when you combine that with a lot of the airspaces that exist around the Southwest, including like R-2508, which overlies Edwards Air Force Base in California, and you bridge those two airspaces, it creates a truly unique experience that can only happen here. And it's often said, like, as goes Nellis, so goes the Air Force. And I think there's merit in that statement, but that's only because what happens here can only happen here in terms of like the operational test and training infrastructure that exists locally.
What do you want your Las Vegas neighbors to know about where you work?
No, that's a great question, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an answer to it. I think the couple things that I want them to know is that we are them. We do our due diligence to be a good neighbor with the community. Not to mention, we are a part of that community. Like, we go to their schools, we shop in their restaurants, shop in their stores, eat in their restaurants, use their products. I would also submit that from its infant stages, right? Like a lot when it was Las Vegas Airfield, it kind of gave growth to the city, and then subsequently the city gave growth to us and supports us. At this point, I think we still offer on order of about a $4 billion impact on the Las Vegas economy, which is truly remarkable. And so the relationship, I think, between the two, between Nellis and the civilian population, is both symbiotic and complementary.
Talk to us a little bit more about the fights on mentality.
Sure, you bet. So in any type of air-to-air or any type of maneuvering engagement, typically there are parameters that each aircraft will have to meet before the actual tactical maneuvering begins. And once those parameters are met and they achieve a certain threshold, whether it's airspeed, altitude, or get in a certain position, at that point we know we're ready, and now it's fights on. And that drives a mentality. And that mentality shift is complete focus on the mission and the task at hand. Ultimately, that's what it's about, is when you show up on base here at Nellis Air Force Base, it's fights on, it's game time, and we get after it until the mission is over. Thunderbirds are phenomenal. So those guys, their motto is blind trust, and believe me, you have to have it when you're flying at 400 knots, inches, if not feet away from one another.
So
It's truly remarkable. It's truly some of the most difficult flying that people can do, and I have a lot of respect for that team. We had a lot of changeover this year, so we have a new boss, or Thunderbird 1, and several other new team members. They're currently executing their winter training cycle, which gets them prepared for their certification, which says from ACC leadership, General Spain, hey, you guys are good to go out and do the show season. Once that happens, they're off on their own, and they're gone 250 plus days a year on the road, sometimes and oftentimes away from their families and friends. So it's truly remarkable, and it's truly a very tightly knit team.